I had to go to boarding camp for the selection test for the international 6 days. So I thought, brilliant. So I went to the selection test at the international 6 days with my mates, kitted out with all my gear, and we did 2 weeks of running all sorts of events in the army, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Met lots of people that I still know from the army in those days. Eddie Dare and Eddie Crooks were in the team there. So I had a very good couple of weeks, very enjoyable. But I went to the international 6 days in '54, but as the first Army Reserve, because they picked a team, and I was in the team, and they suddenly thought, oh dear, it's all national servicemen in this team, we've got no regular soldiers. So they scrubbed the team, rewrote it. So I was a national serviceman in the team, and then they put some officers in and regular soldiers. But other than that, it was brilliant. I enjoyed it. I had a Gold Star BSA for a couple of 3 weeks. We went to the, unfortunately, international. That year was in Wales, 1954, and so I followed around and helped out and rode most of the course myself as well.
Yeah, and going back to, I think, 1950, when you bought your pilot of Norton and started riding in national trials, is it? Got a bit of memories of that?
Yes, in 1950 I graduated from this 250 Royal Enfield to the 500T, and I immediately had reasonable success on that. I rode at many, many events. I did lots of nationals all up and down the country. I did trade sported events up in Birmingham, down here in Devon, west of England, all sorts of events. One notable event was coming to the west of England from Salisbury. I had no transport and just a bike. So I thought I would catch the train. So I caught the train at Salisbury, and on the train was Molly Briggs, Olga Keelos and someone else with their bikes in the guard's van. I put my bike in the guard's van with theirs, and we travelled down. We had to change at Exeter, I think. When we got there, it was late in the evening, and the station master said, "That's wait till the morning till we can cross across the platforms. You've got to get to the other side." He said, "The train goes tonight." "Well, we can't get you across there tonight," he said. So Molly Briggs jumped on her bike, rode down the platform, up the pedestrian steps, across the railway line, down the other side, so we all followed suit and caught the train.
A very angry station master, I suppose.
I don't think he was happy, but he didn't follow.
That's when the Charles riding was proper, wasn't it? Yeah. And then your involvement with Des Smallshaw and the Smallshaw Triumph, when did that start?
Well, I came out of the army, finished my national service in 1955, and I was going to get married, and I lived in Salisbury. I moved down to Bournemouth, got a flat down there, and Des Smallshaw was wanting someone in his workshop, so I knew Des Smallshaw from riding trials, so I was very pleased to go and work for him. We got on very well, so I started working with Des Smallshaw, and he rode a 197 Villiers engine, Smallshaw special, very, very well, and but he was building a new bike, and during building his new bike he went blind in one eye. And he said to me, "Oh, I don't want to do any work. I don't want to do any work on this. My eyes are gone. I'm frightened about the other one." So he said, "Do you want to take it over?" So I didn't want a Villiers in it, because I wasn't a two-stroke man. He was very friendly with Henry Vale at Triumphs. So he got a Tiger Cub engine from Henry Vale. We put that in the frame. Des had lots of input into it, but I did the work on it. So suddenly we were building this bike for me. And unfortunately, a thing called SWCTA emergency popped up, and I got recalled into the army. So I just got married, and in '56 I was recalled back in the army, and I was in the army for another 3-4 months. And so that was a whole block on everything. When I came out, it was very difficult, because Des Smallshaw had to take on someone else to help him out. So I said, not to worry. So I got another job, but kept the bike, and carried on riding the small short Triumph, which was very good. But it was very up to date, because in those days people didn't have folding footrests; they had rigid footrests, and we put folding footrests on my car, and also the footrest behind the wheel spindle, the swing and arm spindle. So it was much better than the average sort of bike that was being used then. I had a lot of success on it. It went very well. I've still got it. I bought it back. I found it and bought it back.
A very clever man, that's for sure. And then, when did you start with Robin Rhine-Tutt and the WASP organisation?
I moved to Oxford to work for British Leyland, and I carried on using the small short Triumph for a short while. Then Dots loaned me a bike, so I rode for Dots for a while. I did the Scottish, I did the stock trial, did all the big nationals, and then eventually I was going to move back to Salisbury. But in the meantime, I wanted to build a Triumph Twin, because I very fancied a Triumph Twin. So a friend of mine, Bill Faulkner, who still had he had then a garage, motorcycle shop in Oxford, he found me a Triumph Twin engine, and I built from a local person, a garage, steel fabricating people. I bought some tubing, which they told me was cold drawn seamless, but it was turned out in mild steel. So I built this frame, I built everything there, put the engine in, and it was really nice. I really enjoyed it, but it stretched. The tubing bent and it got longer and longer. And I was just moving to Salisbury. So when I got to Salisbury, some friends of mine said, oh, WASP motorcycles, they're good, they make frames. So I went to see Robin Rhine-Tutt, WASP motorcycles, and I said, could you make me a frame like this one for my Triumph? He said, no problem. So he made the very first one, similar to the one I'd made for the Triumph Twin. I think I had 4 or 5 after that from him, the same things, Simon Triumphs. I've still got the last one, I've still got that. So I try to keep a lot of the bikes I had.
I think you have. And when did you? At what stage did you put the extra wheel on then?
That was Mike Guilford's fault. You remember Mike Guilford,
yeah.
Scrambler, good man. He was building himself a Trials Psycho outfit, and he said to me, "I'm going to put a Triumph Twin engine in it." Now you're a trials rider who does Triumph Twins. I don't know what sort of motor to do. Do it for the... I said, oh, well, I'll do the motor, no problem. So I did the Triumph engine for him to put in this sidecar outfit. He built the frame, all the sidecar, everything. I did the engine, we put it together, and he said, we'll go out for some practice. I said, good idea. A friend of mine who had ridden a lot of grass track sidecar, Dave Lane, he came with us, and Mike Lane, myself, and Dave, we went practicing with the outfit. And surprisingly, Mike was so nervous at going, it was narrow, the cycle outfit, trials outfit compared to motocross, and Mike didn't like any downhills and tight turns, and he said, oh, I'm not keen on this. So he said, I don't think I want to ride it. If you want to ride it, you can use it. So Dave Lane and I decided to use it. So we actually entered a trial and rode it. The first trial was one which is held still in Salisbury, the Jack White. And we entered this trial, and I'd been riding a Twin for some while, but it was bone dry. And with a sidecar, you pick the front up easily and it goes the wrong way. It never goes where you're looking when you first get on. And we were last, horribly last. So we decided we must ride another one as soon as we can. So the following week we went down to the Wessex Centre. And it rained and was wet. And I've been riding a Triumph for years. I was getting good grip. We won it. So we were last and first in 2 weeks.
That's the right order then, wasn't it? Yeah. And then your entry into the enduro world?
Well, Dave and I were riding this Psycho outfit. It was a trials outfit, much narrower than a motocross outfit. So we decided we could ride this outfit in the Welsh. So we rode that in the Welsh 2 days. We enjoyed that, and actually we were very, very unlucky. We weren't up to the regulations really well. First time out in Welsh, and we clocked in a minute earlier to check. and otherwise we'd have won it. But we were a minute early somewhere. Anyway, we decided that we could do it, and Robin Rheintutt said, it's no good for the Welsh, that bike. You can borrow one of the motocrossers for the Welsh next year. So we said, right. So that's how the following year we had a proper motocross outfit, which was wider and quicker and everything. Yeah, we rode from then we started doing all the national and international and everything, sidecars.
And as you've seen from your menu, that George won the British Sidecar Enduro Championship 5 times, so that's worth a round of applause, I think. It's very difficult to try and find enough questions to use on George, because you could talk to him all afternoon. I've had a most entertaining lunch with him, talking about the development of the 1000cc engine in the Wasp bikes and so on. But we haven't unfortunately got all afternoon. But one or two other things from George's enduro days. He went on to win the French Le Touquet twice on a Wasp, wasn't it?
Yes, on the 1000 Wasp, yes.
Yeah. And what sort of numbers, what sort of entry would there have been in that?
I was number 1,200, I think, the first year.
I must admit, it's an event I've never been to, but I would love to go.
If you've not seen Le Touquet, it is a big beach, a very big beach. And the riders start and ride across the beach. Now, supposedly, when the gun goes off, bang, you start. But we were coming out of the car park up in the town when we heard the gun go off. So a mad rush down through the town. It was absolute chaos. And the very first year, the bike seized actually going down the straight. It was a 6-kilometre straight and just sandy beach. And it seized, so we had to pack it in. So we went back the following year, and the following year we won it twice on the Wasp engine one. It was very good, very quick. 106, I think it was. They said they timed me down the straight when I went past the clock.
Yeah, I think 106 mile an hour on the sand is very quick, I think.
The problem is, things you don't appreciate on sand is that when you're driving normally in the sand, we'll be digging in a bit, when you're going really quick, the bike's right up the top of the sand, and you've only got to move a little bit like that, whoa, and the bike's turning, and there was solo riders coming off everywhere. It's quite chaotic, the Le Touquet.
I always remember talking about riding on sand. I always remember seeing Pickers at Western on that crazy trike with a Kawasaki lamp in it. Oh, what a map! That was amazing.
Because of our Western Le Touquet beach race, on the way back from one of the events, we were talking. There was Jack Matthews, who rode sidecar then, Eddie Chandler, who rode sidecar, and myself, who coming back on the boat, and we said we ought to have one of those in England. So we three of us decided, yes, we ought to. We could run one in England. So when we got back, well, Jack wanted to go to Southport, but I said, no, not North. Weston-super-Mare's got a big beach. So I arranged to meet the council at Weston-super-Mare. I went down there and took loads of photographs and all the details, the newspaper cuttings about the Touquet Beach for us, and they looked at it all and they said, no, we have a scooter event here, we don't want another motorcycle event, they said. So we were quite disappointed. Well, at the time, TMX asked me, did you get it? Because I told Mannix Devlin, who you most probably know, rode sidecars a lot, so I saw Mannix a lot. And he put a piece in the TMX saying that I tried to get an event at Weston-super-Mare similar to Le Touquet, but it was turned down by the council. Out of the blue, someone from Weston-super-Mare, Tony Jones, phoned me up and said, you the George Greenland used to ride in trials with me in the 50s? And I said, yeah, most probably. He said, I've got lots of places down here, bed and breakfast places. He said, my wife's on the council at Western and he said, I think it would be a good idea in November to have an event like that. So he said, if I could get them to talk to you again, would you come down and see them? No problem. So again, I went to Weston-super-Mare, met all the council, talked to them, showed them photographs, and they said, we'll try it for 1 year. So that's how it started. The following year, it was Jack Matthews, Eddie Chandler, and myself, and we got, I can't think of the club. And one of the clubs, I was saying, we haven't got any rope, we didn't ever do an event, so I talked to one of the clubs, they said, yeah, we'll help, we've got rolls of rope, no problem. So we got their ropes, and we taped the whole place out, just with a single line of rope all the way around, put posts in, and put one big circuit. The council were very helpful, and the chaps in their own unit, they had a JCB digger. Oh yeah, we'll put some sand up. What do you want? So we told them what we wanted, and we spent a couple of weeks with them. They built as much sand with this little digger as they could, which wasn't a lot, but they built pretty good. They were pretty helpful. And so we got it all done. But obviously there was no paying gate or anything, because it was just a rope circuit on the sand. We reckoned it was about a 3-mile circuit. And when we got it all finished, the council was saying, well, how many people do you think you'll get? We had absolutely no idea at all. Well, we've got a lot of entries coming in, and eventually, I think we ended up with something like 500 riders. And when the weekend sort of came along, the crowds coming into Weston-super-Mare were enormous. The roads were blocked, the motorway was blocked, there was no accommodation, nobody had any food, there was no beer, no drinks, nothing. They were rushing to Bristol to get things. It was absolute chaos. So we ran the event, and surprisingly, the event went well. Everybody enjoyed it. They thought it was great, running around, screaming around the beach. And the council said, well, next year we've got to do something different with this. It was chaos. It really, you have no idea. It was absolute chaos the first year. There must have been like 20,000 people turned up to watch, and they were expecting like 200 or 300. So you can imagine what it was like. Everything was full. The following year, the council said we must do something, so they helped a lot more, and we talked Finns, the people who were running all the earth moving equipment. We talked them into helping us. So they had a depot in Weston, and they said they'd send some people down with some bigger trucks and things. So we had 1 or 2 bulldozers, and we made bigger sand dunes and bigger everything. And of course, the second year it was worse chaos because more people. So yeah, that and we got another person involved, Dave Smith, who Dave Smith used to run events himself. He was a manager of different people, and he knew everybody. Well, we didn't. We were just riders. So we got Dave involved, and he did all the getting riders and getting people and getting all the people that wanted to put stalls up and things. So it grew and grew and grew. And we did it for 18 years, and then it was getting a disaster, so we gave up and passed it on to someone else. So yeah, that's how Weston-super-Mare started.
What year was it, George, the first one?
82 started Weston.
I remember Dave Smith's involvement.
You remember it?
Brummy promoter and rider manager, very close to Roger Harvey, people like that.
Yeah, Roger was a great help. And, I mean, all those, they treated it not as a world round or anything, they treated it as a fun weekend for their riders, which was quite good.
It was a ridiculously fast straight, wasn't it, down Western Beach? It was like
Alec Wright was a super bloke, and he ran the Kawasaki team, if you remember Alec Wright.
Yeah.
And well, one year he said to me, look, we've got a dead spot down the straight. There's a wall all the way down there. Can I use that spot? Nothing in the way, Alec. Yeah, of course you can. So halfway through the race, and he had top men, world runners they were, and he flagged them in. They all came into this dead spot. He had a table set up, and he served them napkin over his arm, he served them tea and cakes, while everybody else is rushing around the circuit. Alex served his men with tea and cakes. When they finished their tea and cakes, off they went and joined the race again. So all the teammates, everybody had pictures of it. He was very good. He was very good. Yeah. Sorry,
as time is going on wonderfully, has anybody got any questions for George, please?
When's the book coming out?
I've asked him the same question at lunchtime. I said he definitely ought to write one.
That's that. Bob Hill's always telling me that. Write a book.
Quite right, Bob.
What will be coming out is John Moffat's Trials Guru website. He's going to do an article on George next, I believe. So look out for that on your devices.
Well, George, that's been wonderful. We've only overstepped by about 10 minutes, but don't worry about it.
I hope I've bored you to tears.
George says, no, you haven't bored us at all. George has still got a wonderful collection of bikes. He plays in his enormous cellar full of bikes and sidecar outfits, etc. Karen has to keep feeding him though, but it keeps him off the street, and so we're extremely grateful to you, George. They are next week. Karen, Neil, and George are off to France for I think something like a month to ride in one trial in France and another one in Italy. I'm very envious, but and just as Steve was mentioning, I would recommend you look up an article in the Classic Trials like 2022, and there's a bit of a potted history on George's motorcycle career, which makes a very good read. And will you all please put your hands together and thank George for his time.